Hello, fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show gives me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Hello, fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we debate the best pieces of art in the genre fiction realm, whether they be movies, whether they be films, whether they be books, with our tremendously amazing guests. And that guest tonight is Peter D.M. Castro. Peter, thank you so much for being on the show, my friend.
Dude, thank you for having me. This is awesome. I love this idea. Like you said, it's all of the, it's just talking about cool things with fun people. So let's do it.
And that is what Peter does. Peter is a fellow podcast host. Peter hosts trivia for Sporkle Online, and he's going to tell you all about who he is right after Travis and I do our personal updates as per usual. Trav, what's your personal update today, buddy?
I just had a really cool trip I got back from. First, I got to visit Philadelphia again.
Go Birds.
A couple years. Go Birds. I had a cheesesteak, and it was as heavenly as I remember. All that whiz was just amazing. But
just so with it.
The reason I went was really cool, in my opinion. I've been running a D&D game it was like consistently for 3-ish years, and then we all got very busy with life and took like a year and a half or a year off, kind of. But when we did that, everybody had progressed from level 5 to level 18. So everybody in the group was like, we cannot let this just die and like not end the game. But none of us are showing up online anymore. So one of our players, James, decided, who's an OG fan, James decided, let's like get an Airbnb and do a 3-day weekend and have one of those days just be like a D&D marathon to finish the story. And so, yeah, I went and visited 5 of my closest friends, and we played a lot of board games. And on last Saturday, we played D&D from 11:45 to 2:30 in the morning, and finished a 4.5-year long story. So that was really fun, and it was really cool, and couldn't have ended better. I almost TPK'd them, but they
hell yeah.
Hell yeah. How much of a role did Jamadrius play in not getting TPK'd?
James is so intelligent. Like it was him and another player, Marty Stowe, who really like shoehorned it in. But yeah, I'm sorry I'm going so long, but as a D&D fan, Peter, James ended up at the end of the game when my main wizard was all out of spells almost. He like flew above the map because he had flight still, and then he put my main guy in a whirlwind, and I couldn't do anything. so he just Achilles me. And
that is some real high level shenanigans right there. I'm wearing my D&D adjacent shirt of Old School Essentials, which is like a D&D's like 2nd edition D&D kind of reprint. And it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a really beautiful thing. It was cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome because you guys are going for a long time, and it was such a fun group. It was probably like 2, maybe almost 3 years ago when I guested on the campaign, but I guested on the campaign one time. And I was trying to kill James, and that was not going to happen. Because he was on top of his shit. So shout out to James. I'm also James is a beast. His whole family, at least the two of them that I know, are bona fide badasses and super geniuses for sure. I'm co-writing a book with James's sister right now, and she's
Wow.
one of the coolest people I've ever worked with. So shout out to SK Era. She's been on the show before as well, so you can go check that out if you are so inclined. You can go hunt it down. It's out there, as are so many other episodes with so many other awesome guests. And Peter, I'm just jacked that you're here to be our guest today, buddy. Peter's been my friend since I entered the film industry in Washington. He was on the first film I worked on, and I give him almost like a tangential credit to becoming a rock climber at all, because working on his film is where I met my friends Jake and Kyle of Badwater Bouldering, and they got me into climbing. So it's all meant to be. And Peter's here today. It's all meant to be. My personal update, speaking of things that are meant to be, I just did my first couples retreat, which is pretty sweet. Went up to Vancouver Island with my wife, and we worked. It's called Nourish the Retreat. So it's just it's run by this couples therapist. You do some meditations and some exercises and things like that. And it was just it was a really, really fun weekend, a really great getaway, hanging out with Deanna, but also just working on a bunch of skills to manage conflict better and do all kinds of things like that. I love working on that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a therapy geek. I like to read the therapy books. I like psychology in general. So it was a lot of fun to go and learn some more of those practical skills. And if you are like me and you like to just work on your relationship for fun, because you're one of those kind of weirdos, I definitely recommend Nourish with Peggy Farah. She's a really, really good facilitator, and it was a fun time. So that is my personal update. First retreat in the books. It was a really good time, and I think it's a misconception that you only go on these things if you're about to break up or get divorced or something. It's always a good idea to get better at being in a relationship. Arguably, it's a better idea to do that when you don't hate each other. So something I would definitely recommend. So yeah, it was a good time. That's what I did all weekend. And I'm excited to be back to work, because I love my job, because I get to do this among other awesome things. Peter, you're awesome. Can you tell the Fermented universe, the Fermented folks out there, who you are, what you do, where they can find you, and if you want to tell us something cool that's going on in your life right now?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. This is so fun. My name is Peter. I also go by Spoon on other social platforms. But I am a Seattle-based producer. Been working primarily for Sporkle, which is a trivia website and brand here in Seattle, but you can find them all over the internet. And if you do, I'm probably in charge of what you're looking at. If it's not one of the quizzes, if you're watching a video or listening to a podcast or a meme, it's probably me that had some sort of imprint on it. And it's been a lot of fun. I like to joke that I'm like a YouTuber with a salary, but I don't just do the work for the money. I also do some other stuff for fun, like a podcast called System Switch, which is all about TTRPGs, and where we take the main core cast and we fling them throughout different systems, which kind of act as different universes. And it's super fun. I put a lot of work into that one. It's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of in my creative endeavors. It's a show that is all about trying to take that RPG experience and turn it into something that you can just close your eyes and envision everything. I put a lot of work into the sound effects, into the music, into the voices and the cast and the story. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm also on another podcast called No Latency, which is a cyberpunk actual play podcast. And that is blowing up, actually. We're like one of the biggest cyberpunk podcasts in the US. And people come and watch us live when we go to San Diego Comic-Con. It's crazy. I feel like a star. I feel like I'm semi-famous when talking to people about the cyberpunk stuff. So that's pretty cool. And overall, I'm just a lover of art and pop culture and media and TV shows and movies and video games. And that's why I'm here talking to you, Clay.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, congrats. I'm glad to hear that that's blowing up. I do love System Switch. If you are an RPG playthrough kind of fan, it's really, really fun. They do experiment with a bunch of different RPG play styles. And then Peter has really good actors on there too. And like you said, he puts a lot of work into the soundscape. It's a really well put together production. Definitely go check it out. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's a lot of fun. But before you do that, we hope you'll stay around to check out the rest of this episode because we're going to get into it right now. Now, before we do that, I should remind you, if this is the first time you've ever listened to Fermented Fiction, we're going to spoil everything. We do that. So if you don't want this, the end of season 2 spoiled for you because you might have already heard that there's a lot of feelings about it out there. And if you want to, feel those feelings for yourself, go away. And you can always come back later because this will be on YouTube. It'll be on our Patreon. It'll be on all of our stuff for free. So you can come back and check it out after you watch the show. If, however, you don't care, feel free to stick around. We're about to do this debate right now. We're going to roll 2 D20s. The high roll will defend. The low roll will attack regardless of what we actually think. I'll be representing Fermented Fiction. Peter will be representing the rest of the genre fiction realm. So, good luck out there, Peter. And
best.
yeah, if you don't know, I'll give you a quick rundown on what The Last of Us is kind of about. A quick summary. Basically, it is a post-apocalyptic sort of zombie world. The zombies, however, are created by a planetary fungus that kind of like acts as a massive hive mind and has taken over the entire planet. We're in season 2 now. So our main characters, Joel and Ellie, who made it through season 1, they kind of navigated the city where they were from, and they ended up in a sort of frontier town of Casper, Wyoming. I think it's Casper. It's a Wyoming town. They ended up in a small town in Wyoming, and they've settled in there, and they're kind of starting to make a life together. But obviously,
It is a real town. Sorry, it's Jackson.
Jackson. That was it.
It's
Sorry.
Jackson Hole. Yep.
Jackson Hole.
Our-
I should know that
resort
as a
neighbor.
climber.
They're coming
Yeah.
from Boston, I
Yeah,
think,
for
too.
sure.
So season 1 is in Boston, right?
Boston to Jackson Hole. Yep.
Right. So they make it all the way across the United States in the midst of the post-apocalypse, while being followed by a group called the Fireflies because Ellie is immune. She's a young girl who is immune to the fungus virus. So they want to capture her. The Fireflies do to make a cure. They do capture her, but Joel's like, and he kills them all and saves her, and then they go to Wyoming and kind of hide away. So that's where we start in season 2. We start with the Fireflies sort of gearing up to go get revenge on Joel, and then we cut to Joel and Ellie, and they are living their best lives there in Jackson, Wyoming. They got some father-daughter tension going on, but other than that, things are looking okay. They're looking okay, but they're not going to stay that way for too long. And we'll talk all about why as we discuss season 2 throughout the rest of the show. First, we're going to debate it. Peter, you ready to get your verdict there? Travis, is
I'm
gonna roll
so
for you.
ready.
All right, with the high risk, high reward die, we're gonna roll for you, Peter. Here we go. He
Let's
could
see
get
it.
a
Come
20,
on,
could
baby.
get a 1. It's a 4.
It's a 4. Okay, well,
I got an 11.
An 11.
Right.
okay. So that means that
Clayton gets-
you are arguing for, and I'm arguing against.
Yep.
That's right.
Clay is
Oh,
pro
man,
Last of
I
Us
am
season 2.
So ready.
I
makes
will
2 of
bring
us.
you into your timer. 10 minutes, make it a clean fight or not. It's completely up to you. Do
My
not
gloves are
filibust. Yep,
Yeah, I
gloves
gotta do
are
that.
off. Do not filibust. 10 minutes is for both of you, so don't hog the mic. If you are ready, we are going in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. So I have the pleasure of debating for this wonderful show. And The Last of Us, ever since it first came on the air, a lot of people were excited. And for good reason, because this is, and continues to be one of the best adaptations from video game to screen that I have ever seen, if not one of the only good ones. I mean, it's pretty hard to do. I think it presents a unique challenge because when you play a video game, you're also inserting yourself into the narrative in a way that you don't do when you just watch your average movie or your average show. But something that The Last of Us has that a lot of other video games don't is really elaborate cutscenes and a really well pieced together and developed narrative that runs throughout the games on its own, on their own right, in their own merit. So I think that holds up really well when it's translated to screen. And personally, I like season 2 better than season 1. I came into it. Yeah, that's right, Peter. You heard that. But I really do. I felt that season 1 was a bit meandering. It had good episodes for sure, but it was a little bit trying to figure out what it was, trying to get its feet underneath it. In season 2, I feel like they finally accomplished that. They fleshed out the characters in the village. We had some really strong new characters on the screen. We weren't just relying on Pedro Pascal to be awesome and to be Pedro Pascal the whole time, because we actually kill him a couple episodes in. And anybody who watches this show knows that I'm a huge fan of real stakes and actual character tension. And so I have a big problem when characters just have plot armor throughout the entire show. Killing Pedro early on is a big decision. It's a big swing, even if it did happen in the video game, which it did, also early on. But even if that happened, like, there's a lot of shows that would have took the easy way out, that would have chickened out of making that big decision, killing their big star, and taking him completely out of the show and putting it on the shoulders of some younger actors. Like Bella Ramsey's awesome, but she is younger. She is a little less established than Pedro for sure. And it was a swing to go ahead and commit to that, as the video game did, and I respect them for it. And yeah, I mean, they make even bigger swings as the show goes on, but I'm sure we'll get to that because you're probably gonna lodge some kind of fake ass complaint about it, aren't you, Peter?
Oh yeah, totally fake. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, this The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, and then season 2 of the show were both kind of intertwined with this whole kind of misogyny thing that happened, because there was a lot of gamers that just hated on the second game and therefore hated the second season of the show. But let's be honest, it was first definitely not better than season 1. Season 1 was tight and thematically relevant and focused, whereas season 2, here is my biggest problem with season 2. It fundamentally misunderstands the source material and the basic themes of the show. So the whole show is about revenge, right? It's about how revenge will beget revenge, and how love is so powerful, but not necessarily in a good way, right? In the first season, we basically see this monster, Joel, go through his arc of learning to love this thing so much that he's willing to commit atrocities for it, which he does at the end of season 1. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in season 2? Here's the thing about season 2. Great story, bad framing and bad understanding of the elements, which is to say, this second season should be about Ellie learning that revenge is bad, learning to forgive herself and forgive Joel for lying to her, and seeing her slowly become this monster like Joel was. And we don't get to see almost any of that in season 2. The biggest problem is that in episode 6, it's like a whole flashback episode 6, right? We get to see her like have this whole thing with Joel during the 5 years that they've been away, when she grows up, and like it's like every birthday, we get to see every birthday. And I think it's the ninth, like her turning 19 or something. The last birthday that we see, the last bit of the episode, is her coming to Joel, and then Joel breaks down, and they have this moment where Joel tells her that he did kill everyone and that she was maybe going to be a cure, but he couldn't let her go. And she already knows this and says, you know, like, well, I don't know if I can forgive you, but I'll try. And this is such a big moment that should be at the end of the goddamn, I don't know, can I swear on this show? The end of the fucking show. Because that's how it is in the game. In the game, you lead up to this whole thing of her finally realizing that she needs to move past the hatred, move past the vengeance, move past all of these experiences she's had and forgive herself and forgive Joel. And that was the whole point of the show. And finally, I have to say one more thing, and that is that Last of Us Season 2 should be studied on how you cannot just take a video game story and turn it into a TV show, because a video game is an art and a medium in itself that this story that Season 2 takes place and adapts works better as a game because you get to do the actions that Ellie you see happening on screen. But in a video game, you are the one that are killing these people, that are like slowly becoming this monster. And that is part of the art. So I think that if anything, Season 2 is great because it shows us that video games are an art that could be taken seriously on its own. Unfortunately, what that means is that Season 2 is so bad that it makes the second game even better than it was.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I think that that's a good point to my side of the aisle, because it sounds like a lot of what you're projecting onto the show is a desire for it to hit the same narrative beats as the game did. Whereas I think the show is its own entity, and I think it is its own art form and its own medium, as you said. And I think, therefore, you have to take into account that you have different storytellers that are also bringing their own flavor of the message to this medium, to this telling of the story. It's just like Del Toro's Frankenstein is a lot different than the original Frankenstein. This is different than the game's narrative. And I do think it is more about continuing the story, maybe. I think it's a lot more about violence begets violence than it is a forgiveness arc. And I don't think that makes it inherently worse. I just think that makes it inherently different. And maybe part of the reason they leaned in that direction is because of what you're saying. You don't have the intimacy of your finger on the figurative trigger, right? You are not the one shooting anyone in the face. But we still do have that arc. We still do have all those points that you're speaking to, but I do think the narrative arc underlying and threading through the season of the show is different. And I do think it is more that story of humanity from a bird's eye view, more than it's a story of just Ellie. And it became that throughout the course of the season. I think it was earlier, like Season 1 specifically, was a lot more about this is Joel and Ellie's story and that's it. But I think this show becomes way more of a story of humanity under these extremely trying and insurmountable circumstances, and kind of looking at it as a whole through more character lenses.
Now, here's the thing that we both didn't talk about, and that is Abby and the fact that this is really Season 2 Part 1, right? We didn't even touch on that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even had to, because there are so many other problems with Season 2 that I don't even have to mention that it's incomplete. Almost by design, it's incomplete. But my God, how can you bring in Abby, which is the character that is supposed to mirror Ellie and be this like other point of view that, like, why it totally muddles the theme if you introduce her and her posse at the beginning and humanize them from the start. The whole point is that you see these people and they're like, oh my God, they're killing Joel. And then you're like, yeah, go get them, Ellie. Like, these pieces of shit, they deserve to die, right? And then
in the game,
she goes through her revenge arc, and then you're like, oh my God, wait. Now we get to see it from Abby's point of view, and now it's like, wait a minute, these are actual people that have desires and are loved by their people, and now they're not just nameless fighting people; they are humans. And if oh my God, it's just like did they not understand that by like the reason that these elements were put in this order?
I think they did a lot of that in Season 1.
Cut you out.
Oh man, we were just getting into it.
Sorry. We will have plenty of time to get
So
into
much
it,
time. So much
but
time.
before we do that, we do have a couple other segments. And Clay,
Great job,
you
Peter.
want to
Great
bring
job.
us into those?
Love it.
Great job.
Thanks. Yeah, let's do it. So our next segment, because we originally invented this segment as a way to both justify our show's name and to break the debate from the panel discussion segment, and it has since become sort of the heart and soul of the show in many ways. It's become something that ties the whole show together. It helps people loosen up, and it's our drink of the week segment.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and start this time because I didn't bring anything that's like technically thematic, but I think it's actually pretty thematic if you think about it. So what I have here is this Heritage Distillers Reserve. Now, you've seen this on the show once before. That was the only other time I could get myself motivated to drink it. It's not good. It's not good at all. I got this at Grocery Outlet. And if you don't know, Grocery Outlet is where you go to get the groceries that have been discarded by other grocery stores for a lot cheaper. And it's really good. You get great stuff there. Sometimes you get really nice food that would otherwise be out of your price range. Love Grocery Outlet. But maybe it's not the best place to buy your whiskey. And this Distiller's Reserve here is an example of why. It tastes like dirt and whiskey. Just mixed together, but not like in a good way, not like a peaty way, just like somebody dropped a dirt clot in the barrel and didn't take it out, and it just became a part of the product. But I think it works for something, for a post-apocalyptic show discussion, because, you know, if you were in the post-apocalypse, you'd be drinking whatever you had. You'd be drinking dirty whiskey, you'd be drinking bathtub gin, you'd be drinking whatever you could get your hands on. And, you know, if it was Distiller's Reserve and it had been a while since I had a nice glass of whiskey, that's what I'd be drinking. So I also have this Arrowhead Snowberry that I'm mixing it with. Big seltzer water fan. And this helps tremendously. It actually mixes really well with like an Irish whiskey if you like a scotch and soda kind of vibe. This is a raspberry vanilla. So I love that mixture. Big fan of vanilla. Throw it in your whiskey. It makes it taste less like dirt. It also has the name Arrowhead, which is pretty fitting for The Last of Us. So
That's true. With the Seraphites.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The scars, baby. And we will talk all about the scars and how little they're explained in season 2 and how much plot armor everybody has and all that great stuff. But first, we're going to get to Travis. What you got there, buddy? I see you have a nice cup that you're excited to tell us about.
I am. I'm very excited about this cup. My wife got me this mug. It says, "Damn girl, are you a first and goal? Because I'm going to try and push that tush." And that is a reference to the tush push that the Eagles run all the time in football. And inside this mug, it is Ash Wednesday. Lent has officially started, which means for the next 40 days, I will not be consuming any alcohol. So this is tea.
We
But
salute
what kind
you.
of tea?
Irish breakfast decaffeinated.
Lovely.
There you go. Black tea is, in fact, fermented. So, you know, you're still doing your duty. You're
Hey.
doing your duty to both your faith
Doing my
and
duty.
the show.
There we go.
Hell of a job. Hell of a job. Just like Jalen Hurts' offensive line do their duty every time they line up for that tush push and
Push.
power into the end zone. They sure do. They sure do that quite a lot. So much that the league wants to ban it. We'll see if they do. The league owners meeting is coming up soon. Peter,
Wow.
what you drinking, buddy?
Well, you know, I'm not, I guess I'm not alone. I'm also not drinking alcohol. And I've brought a Hiyo. I don't know how you say this. Hiyo. It's a peach mango. And they call it a social tonic because it's supposed to be like basically a mocktail, right? But I think what's nice is that,
Nice.
let me crack that open, is that it has a bunch of, get this, tea, yes, but also
Hell yeah.
mushrooms. Hey.
Nice.
There we
So yeah,
go.
there's like, gosh, where was it here? A bunch lion's mane. You've got green tea, ginger, ashwagandha, all kinds of cool stuff. And
All the
it's
good stuff.
delightful. It's not too sweet, not too kind of direct and sharp. And it's just nice and a good time.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Love
You got the sip sounds. You got the cracking of the can. We can work
That's
with all
right.
this action. Well done, Peter. That's a soundscape man, a man with experience behind the board. There for you, for the fermented folks out there. Thank you, Peter, for bringing that expertise to the show. And what else we're going to bring to the show, as we always do, is some fun facts, because every story is created, and every story's creation has a story of its own. Travis, do you want to tell us a little bit about the story of the making of The Last of Us Season 2? And Peter, if you have any facts to chip in, feel free to add them.
All right,
I
let's see.
do. And at the end, my last fact is going to be also a bit of a quiz, a question, opinion ask. So we'll see what that was. So first fact, this is my favorite fact, which is why I led with it, because I'm a history nerd. Clayton is as well, but we kind of study different regions, I feel like. The resistance group, Fedra, calls themselves the Fireflies. During the revolt against King Charles III, also known as Charles the Fat, in 9th century France, one of the main resistance groups called themselves Fireflies. They painted a picture of a firefly to mark important areas like safe houses, choosing it as a symbol because it was something not typically associated with war or military groups. Likely the same reason the militia group in The Last of Us chose it. So a little bit of history that they pulled from for both the game and the movie, which I found really cool.
Yeah, you choose the wolves or some shit. People are going to be like, what's going on with these wolves?
This wolf head is a little suspicious, but a firefly, it's like,
It's very aggressive.
That's pretty. The first season has 46-year-old Pedro Pascal portray both a 36-year-old and a 56-year-old Joel. And the second season has him later as well, in like 50s, nearing his 60s. So 46-year-old Pedro Pascal had 10 years on both sides, and he pulled it off, I will say.
He did.
Casting took place virtually for the whole show through Zoom due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which would suck. I just wanted to name that. 5 actors from the games appear in the TV series. Merle Dandridge reprises her role from the video games as Marlene. Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie, played Anna in the first season. Troy Baker, who played Joel, played James, the secondary character from the original game that is a member of the David group. Jeffrey Pierce played Joel's brother Tommy in the games, and new character Perry in the show. Laura Bailey makes a cameo, which is probably my favorite cameo of. She's the nurse, so no one even notices it's Laura Bailey, which poor Laura Bailey did such a good job in that game as a voice actress that she got death threats sent to her house because people hated Abby so much because Abby killed Joel. And yeah, that's like it sucks. I'm sorry she got death threats. What a testament to how good of a job you did that people believed the character so much they were like, I want to kill the actress. Not good.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Ridiculous. But yeah, don't do
Bella. Don't do that. But holy crap, Laura, you're great at your job. Bella Ramsey cut off 15 inches of hair to play Ellie.
It's a lot of hair.
14-year-old Ellie is played by 19-year-old Bella Ramsey, although 17 when first cast. And it's justified by the fact that the second season, Ellie is 19. So it all kind of figured itself out. So I think Bella Ramsey was 20 playing a 19-year-old, which was a much closer comparison there. HBO Max, this is a fun one, stated that Brazil alone is responsible for over 50% of all online engagement in social media related to the series. Because apparently the Brazilian dubs for the game were like so highly acclaimed that it just like blew up in popularity, and so everyone came to the show from that, which is cool.
That's awesome. I'm gonna huck in a fun fact here. Peter is Brazilian as well. I mean,
that's right.
Hey,
yeah, I didn't even know that Brazilian fact, but that's awesome, Peter, that you happen to be the guest for this.
And let me throw in another. You missed a reprisal voice actor to show, and that is Isaac.
Oh yeah,
is played by. He actually is the only one I think that reprises his role from the show or from the game and the show as the same character, and that is Isaac is played by Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
in both
Who's-
forms.
In my opinion, a goat. I love Jeffrey Wright. Every time I see Jeffrey Wright's face on a screen, I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah,
I love
he's
this
a
man. He's in the games, the fungus spreads through spores in the air. For the show, they replaced it with tendrils because Druckmann thought that it would look creepier, more frightening, and make the world a little more like tangible and believable. I do think the tendrils are pretty freaky.
True.
And I do like how the makeup designed them to like really creep out slowly from like many orifices. That was very good. Gustavo Santaola, I think I said that right. The music composer for video games 1 and 2 was brought on to compose the series soundtrack, which is awesome. And here we go. This is the last one, so we can get out a solo thing because I wanna ask a question here. So I want to know. There were several big name actors considered for the role of Joel Miller. I'm going to read them, and I want you to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down of like, yes, would have been a good Joel, or absolutely not, would have been a terrible Joel.
Love
Okay.
it.
Ready? I'm going to get this ready to screen it. Okay. Matthew McConaughey.
Nah.
Yeah. Little bit of a race change would be Mahershala Ali.
Oh, maybe I could see it.
Hugh Jackman.
Going no.
He might be able to win me over, but probably not.
Okay, probably not for me too. This one's gonna maybe surprise people because I love him so much. But Michael Fassbender, I would go no.
Yeah,
oh, I
go
could
no
see
too.
Fassbender. I could totally see
I
Fassbender.
feel like he's not gruff enough in my opinion. He's like a very.
I
don't
might
know.
even say he's more gruff than Pedro Pascal. Like I think he
You
can
think he's
really
more
bring
gruff?
that kind of like monster energy,
Yeah,
but not monster energy in the drink kind of way.
Yeah,
Right.
fair.
Yeah. Pedro
Uh,
Pascal is definitely a pretty boy compared to
yeah.
Daniel Craig, I would say.
Not Daniel Craig,
No,
Michael
sorry.
Fassbender.
Not Daniel.
You know what?
But
Bring Daniel Craig in.
Same though.
Bring him
Same.
in.
Down. Thumbs down for him
okay.
too.
Thumbs down.
Next one, John Berthnell.
Remind me of who that is.
That's
Punisher.
yeah.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah,
I
would've
could
worked
also
for me.
see that. I think that he needs to have that like soft spot though. And
Yeah.
that's the part where I think Fassbender would be really great to have that like tough exterior that kind of like has that squishy inside.
Mhm.
You know, and you're
But
right,
yeah.
Peter. Who am I kidding? Fassbender can play anyone. I should.
You love Fassbender. What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Don't doubt Fassbender. What
Don't
am I
doubt
doing?
him.
to
Come
myself?
on now.
Gerard Butler.
Give it
You
to
know
me
what?
all day long. I actually.
I've got to be honest. His booking agent has been terrible these last decade or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
you know what? He's owed one.
Yeah, he is.
He
Throw
is.
him a
He is
bone.
owed one. Let's give him some emotional depth and see what he does with it. You know,
Yes.
Yeah. Josh Brolin,
Yes.
Josh
That'd be
Brolin
great.
rocks.
100%.
He could do anything as well.
John Hamm.
Going no, hard no on that one.
Yeah.
The Mad Men vibe doesn't fit this show. David Harbour. Who,
Remind me who that is.
Ooh, I
Just
gotta
bad
look.
at names.
He's the guy from Stranger Things. He's like the dad
Oh,
character
yeah.
for Ellie
Oh,
or for Eleven.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
I know. I like
he
him.
might
but
be able to pull it off, but I don't see it.
it would just. I feel like he's doing Stranger Things, and it's way too similar of a role. And
Yeah.
seeing how he did that role, and I mean, I know there's a different team and everything behind it, but I just feel like I don't know. You're gonna have a hard time talking me out of Pedro Pascal because he's fucking amazing.
Mhm.
He
And
is.
so they have to be somebody who can bring more heat than that. And I really don't think there's a ton of actors who can, just in general. Pedro's he's one of our best out there right now.
Oh yeah,
Right.
he's good.
All right, I got 5 more. Keanu
5
Reeves,
more. Okay, quick ones. No.
Hard no.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
No.
He's good.
Yeah,
He is
Okay.
good. I
No
like
one
it.
yes.
I don't
this
like the
one
look
I-
though. He doesn't look like Joel from the game at all. So
No, this one I don't even get because he would have been like 80 at the 70 something at the time. Harrison Ford, too old. Get him out of there.
get the fuck out of here.
This one I love the guy, but I'd say no. Tom Hardy.
Definitely no.
Mm,
Oh.
I'd give him a chance.
What?
This is
Yeah, I'd
He's
give him a
also
chance.
lacking the soft spot.
I'd give him a
this
chance
is my
because I think
favorite.
that I think he's got it, man. I think he's got it. But
Yeah.
we'll keep going.
This
do like
last one's
fungal.
my favorite. Like, I think if anyone could have replaced Pedro, I think this is like the perfect vibe. Joel Edgerton. From what, like, seeing him in Train Dreams, I think
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he 100%. He has the soft spot. He has the the gruffness. That he could have pulled off Joel really well. I think.
Yeah,
But-
I think he could have done it.
I agree with that. He was awesome in Train Dreams. That was a great movie.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, either him or Josh Brolin. If you were gonna have to put somebody else in Pedro's spot there, I do really have a soft spot for Josh for sure. But I do just think like Pedro Pascal is the perfect casting for this role.
He was fantastic, and that's
Yeah,
all
honestly,
I got.
the
I don't
cast is
know.
really good.
I don't
Mhm.
know if you got extra facts, Peter or Clay, but that's what I brought to the table.
I got two quick ones. One is
Let's go.
more of an amendment of one of your facts, which was that in the game,
Play my MDB.
it's like gone through with spores, right? Like the infection is with spores, but in the show it's tendrils. One amendment to that is that they bring back spores in season 2, and it feels out of place.
That's true. They did do that.
I forgot they brought back the spores in season 2.
Yeah.
So
Annoying. And second
Yeah.
one is in the second game, when you start shooting at people, almost everyone has like a line that's like, oh my God, they killed John, or like, oh my God, Claire, get to cover. And so they like start, whenever you start shooting people in the second game, every one of them like has a name. And it's
That's
like
awesome.
so much more. People like will be like, oh my God, like if you like, slice someone's throat and they don't even know that you're there, and then someone will like come around and be like, oh my God, Tommy, they killed Tommy.
That's so great.
It's so good. And it totally, again, elevates that theme, right? Of like
Yes.
violence begets violence, vengeance begets vengeance. And the fact that Ellie is turning into a monster.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you there, Peter. And yeah, it was interesting because they brought back the spores, but they did it as a way to continue to stack this idea that the virus is evolving and that it's getting deadlier, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But I got lots of feelings about that. But yeah, anyway, that's our fun facts, our fermented facts. Did you have any more, Trav, or you're good with that?
No, I think it's time to hear what our strong opinions are about
Absolutely.
the show.
Okay, Peter, you had to argue against it. So tell us if you were lying through your teeth or if you were telling the truth. Is there anything redeeming about this show that you do want to get on the record so that, everybody out there who thinks you're just a total hater has something else to latch onto?
See, I think that, first of all, this show is beautiful. The casting is amazing. Everyone totally brings their A game from, above to below the line. It's great. Like, honestly, it is one of the best looking shows out there. Some of the action sequences are better than a lot of movies these days. The second episode is the best episode of the season by far. And it's exciting. It's emotional. It's tense. It's surprising. It's great. The second episode absolutely kills and is the high point of the series. And although Abby is one of my favorite characters from the game, I think she's great. And I think that her addition was brilliant, even though a lot of haters out there will say otherwise. I think Abby is awesome. And it is a little too bad that they couldn't find a muscle mama out there, because in the game she is built. I mean, like, she is huge, where like Ellie is like this, svelte, skinny, kind of like dexterous killing machine.
Yeah,
Abby
she's a
is
rogue,
just,
though. She's a rogue.
Yeah, totally. Whereas like Abby is like the opposite, right? She's like hulking. Like she will literally just like kill someone by punching them in the head, and like boom, they're out, because she's that like buff and huge and cool. They couldn't quite get that with the casting in season 2, but the girl that plays her, which I have it up here, I want to give her props.
It's Caitlin Dever.
Caitlin Dever. She does bring the like ferocity and that energy, even though she doesn't have the physique. She still kills it, so she's still good. She goes thumbs up for me. So overall, I liked the show, but it was disappointing, and all of my complaints that I had were genuine complaints.
Yeah. I felt like I could tell. And it did not seem like you were bullshitting. And that might be different from the way you felt about me. I'm not sure if you guys picked up on it, but there's plenty about this season that I did not love. There is plenty that I did love. I agree with everything you said, Peter. The casting in this and the acting, the performances are fantastic. I want to give a particular shout out to young Mazzino, who totally won me over as Jesse, one of the only redeemable damn characters in this entire season. Jesse was just the most beautiful man. He was that all the way from start to finish. And he was an exemplary figure of like why vengeance is the wrong answer, why community love and companionship is the right one. And he shows that at the risk of his own life time and time again. So I loved the Jesse character, found myself rooting for him so hard all the way through, even well before I knew what was going to happen to him early on in the show. Like when we find out he was with Dina and then they kind of got together at the dance or whatever. He was still like very chill about it and very cool about it. And like he had bigger fish to fry kind of situation. And he was accepting of that relational change within this small community, which would be very hard to do. So I really, really loved the Jesse character. I also love Tommy. I think Tommy's a great character too. He's a really solid, like positive masculine figure amongst some much less positive masculine figures in this show. So I thought he was a really good character too. And the early relationship between Joel and Ellie was really sweet. It felt really believable, even as tense as it was. I mean, a lot of the sweetness comes in that flashback episode, the penultimate episode, episode 6, where it's just like every birthday to remind us, oh yeah, you're supposed to like Ellie because she's kind of the fucking worst all through this entire season. You are supposed to like her though, so here's a reason for you to like her. But boy,
I have thoughts on that.
dude, Ellie was the worst, and that to me made the show a little harder to enjoy than season 1. It made season 2 harder to enjoy because, like you said, Peter, and you made a good point about this in the debate, but in the game, that transformation into monster is a really big part of it. She just kind of started as a monster in the show. She becomes a worse monster. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about that, and I'm definitely open to disagreements. Okay, so maybe monster is too strong of a word. I will concede that. She starts as kind of a shit person, though.
Yes.
She has good reasons to be mad at Joel, but the way she's treating him and stuff, and we don't have the context. We know what he did to the Fireflies and stuff, but we don't necessarily have the context of recent events. They're hinted at and stuff, but like she's not really a person I find myself empathizing with at any point in the show. At any point. Maybe the one point was where she was like sort of marginalized, or definitely marginalized for like her romantic interests, whatever. I can relate to that. But that was about the only point where I felt much sympathy for her or relation to her. Throughout most of the show, I was just kind of like, God, would you just stop being a tool about everything? Like, I get that you're 19, but you're like just an asshole about everything. Like, nobody can say anything to you without you being a dick about it. And I just like, I don't get it. Like, why does it have to be this way?
It muddies. I feel like it also muddies the whole point, right? Which is that the audience should like her. She should be likable so that when she does things that we know are bad and that she shouldn't do, we're like, oh no, don't do that. I like you, but also, don't kill innocent people,
Like,
Yeah.
And if you're
right.
like, she's a piece of shit and she's also killing innocent people, you're like, ay. Do you mind if I jump in here for a second?
No, go for it, Peter. Go for it.
So I think that they tried to like reconcile this by making her less aggressive, less violent, right? And like From
when
what I
did they-
remember, the
Sorry.
real time that she like kills someone for the first time really is in episode 5.
It's
I wrote it
5
down here.
because I've
5.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
only watched 4 and she hasn't done shit yet. So
In episode 5, she finally like catches up with one of the WLF people that were there in, you know, were a part of killing Joel, and she finds him and she just beats the shit out of her and like kills her, right? And then she like has this moment, she's like, oh my god, I'm like so violent, which is good, that is fine, but like 5 episodes in, she's just now like getting to the point where like she's doing monstrous things, like as we said, I think is a big part of the theme and message of this story is her and story is that she's becoming like Joel, right? And then in episode 7, she like kind of like weirdly accidentally or in self-defense kills 2 more of the WLF people, whereas in the game, you know, you see her do more and more fucked up shit, right? So when you get to that point, you're like,
you are
yep,
her.
that's just
doing
Ellie.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
you are the one doing it.
you
You're kind
are
of
her
helping her
doing
do that in a way, right?
Yeah.
And man, and I think that they missed the point, which is we need to like Ellie and she needs to do bad things, not we need to dislike Ellie and she doesn't do as many bad things. It's like you totally crossed the wires there, you guys. You missed the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
I
we
wonder
didn't
if
even get to the point where I think she is not a very she doesn't have a lot of agency as a character. Like one of the things that I noted is in episode 3, right? So episode 2, they have this whole big siege, right? Where the infected come in and they have to like take them out, which I actually loved because it shows that like these people were prepared, you know? And it's one of my favorite things where it's like, oh, like post-apocalyptic, like they've prepared for this. And because of that, they do a pretty good job. Like I like the competency porn aspect of that, you know?
I love competency porn.
Oh, it's great.
I'm so about realism porn, bro.
Yes. And then in episode 3, basically what they do is that now the whole town is like taken out, right? And there's nothing holding her back. In the game, she's like, well, like I still have people that like me here, and like I have a family that I've grown to love and that loves me, and I have people here that want me, and like even this Dina character, who by the way we've even talked about Dina, she's great. Love Dina.
She is great.
I think the actress Isabella Merced is amazing, and she's definitely up and coming right now. But she kills it. My favorite character in the whole show is Dina. But in the game, Dina stays behind because she's like, I'm going without you. Like I got to go take this revenge quest on my own, right? And in the show, they rip out all of that choice away from her, where there's nothing holding her back. Like why wouldn't she go? And then when they do go on this quest, Dina is the one making the plans, getting her out of sticky situations. It isn't until episode 5 that Ellie even starts to like make choices that matter and that give us more insight into her character.
Yeah, I agree. No, I totally agree with that. Ellie stops being the main character and starts being like just the avatar of the theme of the show, which is revenge bad, anger bad. And like, honestly, like you brought it up in your debate, but the real main character of the show in so many ways is Abby. We see the show starts and ends with Abby, and they tell you when you write a book or when you write a story, like be very conscious of the first and last people on the page. Or if you make a movie, you should be very conscious of the first people and last people on the screen. Abby is that, and it's almost like they planned this whole season to set up whatever they're doing with season 3, which again, I do think, as I said in my debate, is like a zoomed out lens. Now we're going to kind of like switch to a whole new perspective and we're going to carry on. And I know we're going to talk about the ending eventually, but I do think they set that up well with the ending. There's a lot about the ending that I liked. A lot of people hated the ending. So I'm excited to talk about it and why we might have felt the way we felt about it. But I do think it led to that really well. However, the robbing of Ellie's like character depth definitely still hurts the emotional punch of that ending. It can't not. Because like you said, and Peter keeps saying episode 5. For context, that's 5 out of 7 episodes.
That's true.
And episode 6 isn't a real episode. Episode 6 is a flashback episode.
Bottle episode.
So like, yeah, it's a. And by the way, did y'all know they were in Wyoming for like 4 fucking years? I did not know that.
There is a screen that says 5 years later.
I know, but that's it. And like, they never talk about it again, and it like doesn't feel realistic to me. I just like, if the Fireflies are like hell bent on revenge, why did it take them 5 years to get there? And if it took them that long, then how come like they can get to Seattle in the middle of winter? Like,
I will say
tomorrow.
It's not the Fireflies that are out for revenge. It's Abby.
Yeah.
Abby does not,
With
much like
the Fireflies.
much like Ellie doesn't have the backing of Jackson. The Fireflies don't really back up Abby on her revenge quest either.
Right. That's fair.
I think
that's fair.
they try and drop some hints about like when Abby's talking about how she went to Seattle and trained with the militia and stuff. There, I got this like couple little lines in there that were trying to tell us like, oh yeah, she took time to like train for this.
Sure.
And then came. And so there was like a gap there, but I think you're right, Clay, that it's not super well communicated. And I want to jump in with my opinion because I am with both of you. I think Ellie sucks in this show. And
She
I
sucks.
want to be very clear.
Bella, you're
the
awesome.
Writing, it is not Bella Ramsey. Bella
No,
Ramsey got a
she
lot of
rocks.
hate,
She pulls
and
it out.
Bella did the best they could with this really not great put together story for you. Another thing I agree with, Peter, episode 2 is a masterpiece. Like,
It's
100%
great.
right.
If
It's
that
so
was
good.
just a movie,
so good.
boom.
So good.
Or if it was like
compelling.
a Serenity finish because they canceled The Last of Us,
Yeah.
you know, so they did season 2. They did that as a movie to like finish the series on a satisfying note. That would be great.
Yeah.
Tie into
I
Firefly.
thought
Shout
it
out.
was absolutely fantastic. And it really helped with like, maybe it helped me knowing that Joel died to like
Mhm.
ratchet up the tension of like, I believed anyone could go at that point. At that point in the show, I was like, oh, this bloater might kill Joel's brother. Like they might have changed that.
Yeah, I thought that
was
would happen.
ready. I was
I
ready
thought
for
it could.
something like that to happen. But yeah, it's just this show was a yo-yo to me, because you're right that the visuals and like a lot of the elements are so fantastic that I would be hooked, and then I'd like halfway through an episode be like, but this is a terrible scene. and that dialogue was really bad. And but then they introduce another action scene or like show me Jeffrey Wright, and I'd be like, all right, I'm back in. Like, give me Jeffrey Wright and I'm in. So yeah, it was a weird yo-yo experience of like, I don't really love it, season 2, but I'm gonna finish because it's done enough to hook me, and the visuals are good enough that I'm like, there's really not much out there right now that has wowed me visually, TV wise, like this show. I haven't watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I want to read the book first, which is above me. That's the one I keep hearing about. That's kind of production level. Really well
Definitely
done.
read the book. It's awesome.
But I won't get to that one for a bit. So yeah, that's my kind of little take. Is I agree with both of you, and I do think we're going to talk about characters and arcs and endings in the question portion. But yeah, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Ellie. That was the first episode was so bad. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I was like, you're 19. Like 19 is
rough.
19 is rough.
Like the way Bella was acting, or not Bella was acting, the way Ellie was acting, I was like, what is this? Because yeah, I don't know. What do you guys, was episode 1 is bad for you? Is it for me? Because I was like, if this is your hook, this is a bad hook.
You know, episode 1 for me was a lot of like, well, they have my good graces from a fantastic season 1. So
Right.
we're going to let this ride and see. Like, I'm at like basically all of episode 1. I'm like, okay, what are they doing with all this? Like,
Mhm.
you know, I was like on edge, but I wasn't like, what are we doing here? Right. And then episode 2 comes around and I'm like, hell yeah, dude, this show
Right.
rocks. And then episode 3, I'm like, wow, nothing happened. And then episode 4, I'm like, wow, what are they doing? And then episode 5 happens. I'm like, we're almost done. Nothing's
Yeah.
happened.
What's going on? I
Which
think
is-
Yuji-
I'm so
Okay.
glad to hear you say that, Peter, because I feel like people watch a show like that with that much action and that many fights and that much stuff and mistake it for things happening. But when you really look at like the narrative pacing, it's like, yeah, nothing happens from episode 2 to episode 7. Like a little bit happens in 5. There's a little bump. And then, but like, if you're conscious of storytelling, which like anyone who tells stories themselves cannot not watch a story that way, like, it drove me crazy because it was like, then I saw it was a flashback episode and I just resigned myself to it. I almost skipped it. I almost skipped it, but because I know what a flashback episode is. I'm like, I don't need to watch this. Technically, I know what you're trying to do to me as a storyteller. You're trying to manipulate me so that I care more about episode 7. And like, look, I didn't skip it for one reason and one reason only, and that's because I wanted to see Pedro again. And they knew that, those sons of bitches, and it worked.
Yep.
And his performance was fantastic. And, you know, you got some character development and you got one thing that made it kind of worthwhile, which was the actual conversation. Because in episode 1 or whatever, we just see her walk by and we don't know that conversation happened. So we're still under the impression that the last conversation they had was that very short, terse exchange at the dance. So that was a valuable piece. But like, other than that, it was a flashback episode, which in a 7-episode season is kind of weak sauce. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, come on.
I mean,
like you have me for 7 hours. Like,
I think
and you're taking one of them away from me. But maybe that doesn't bother you guys as much as me.
this show has had that problem since the beginning. I think like it's a really well made show.
Yes.
But I've come around more to your opinion on season 1, Clay, where like it cuts away far too often for how short it is. Because even like the little side stories that were really good in season 1 still took an hour away from Ellie and Joel. And so we have like these primary characters we're supposed to be in love with. And they're like, their time management on that arc was just not great through the whole series, in my opinion. Because even they'd introduce us to like villains for a good 20 minutes. And then,
right.
And it'd be like, oh man, like, yeah, this is cool looking, but I don't know much about these people because I'm losing time here. I don't know though, but what do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I actually really liked the world building basically in season 1 with those. I mean, the bottle episode of season 1, which was I think episode 3 with
we all know that's the best episode of the season.
It's the best episode. And like, it's really good because they were able to just kind of like tell the story about these two humans and let that kind of elevate the world and the stakes for everybody, right? Because we know what can happen and like these relationships are real and these are people, not just props, right? Which again comes back into season 2. It's a reoccurring theme in the show. But in season 2, I think my biggest problem, in fact, it's another, much like I said, how season 2 should be studied because it takes a story that works really well in one medium and then just tries to basically copy it over, but does one thing differently, and that is change when you see certain events, right? Like it is a great example of how showing your audience information at different points can change how the audience interprets the events. And I think, for instance, showing Abby at the very beginning and having us empathize with Abby at the beginning was a mistake. I think that having that emotional catharsis of Ellie basically forgiving Joel at the end of this season was a problem because we haven't fully realized these ideas and these themes and these lessons that everyone is going to learn, which will hopefully happen at the end of season 3. So where you tell story points is also important.
Oh, it's so important. I mean, I just a little glimpse into my world, but I'm currently editing an anthology for Crypticon. I do it every year. The shirt, actually, I didn't wear that for this shout out. I didn't plan on giving this shout out. But I have been reading short stories all day long. I read like 20 short stories today. And that is such a huge part of the stories I select and the stories I do not. Like, it's not about having a catchy hook. That certainly is important. It certainly helps. If you're a writer, you got to have a good hook. You got to start strong. But like, the most important thing about it is, like, you would be amazed how many stories start like 6 paragraphs in. Like, you hit paragraph 6 and it says something and you're like, oh, this is what the story's about. If this was at the top of the story, I wouldn't even be questioning if I was into this story. But now I'm like halfway through it and I'm wondering if I'm into it. And now I kind of am. But like, if you would have did this right away, I would have been like, hell yeah, you know? And that's what they do in the video game. I mean, you play the second video game, Joel dies really quick. Like, it happens fast. And then you're like, damn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you were not ready for that. Like, he was a POV character for you all throughout the first game. So you are so not ready for it. And it totally sets the tone. It completely changes the stakes. It completely rewrites your expectations for the narrative going forward. And you no longer know if Ellie is safe. You no longer know if Dina is safe. You don't know if anyone is safe. And that's, I mean, I talk about Game of Thrones all the time, but it's a masterclass in this of like, you never know who's going to die. And that really matters to me. So I thought that they kind of redeem themselves a little bit at the end, but I'm excited to see what you guys think about the ending, because that's going to be a whole question, I'm sure. I also just want to talk about bottle episodes in general. Are you guys good before we go to break if I ask a question about bottle episodes?
Yeah,
I'm ready for bottled questions.
So, do they work when they're good? I honestly, I think it's almost a bigger problem when they work than when they do not. And I've seen this happen in lots of shows. Like, I think it's not a good thing if your best episode is your bottle episode. I think that kind of like diminishes the strength of your overall narrative arc. If like we look back at the show and tell me the first thing you don't think of when you think of Last of Us season 1 is episode 3. Like, is it not? It is for me. When I think Last of Us season 1, the first thing I think about is Nick Offerman and that beautiful story and that one bottle episode. And I'm like, maybe that just should have been a short film. Like, cause it was beautiful, hour-long cinema. Like, and I actually have a hard time remembering anything else about season 1 compared to that episode, but I can remember everything about that episode, and I don't actually think that's a good thing if you're writing a show. But I'd be interested in, I mean, it's always good to have a strong piece of the show, obviously good to have a strong episode or whatever, but like when you're telling a larger story, do you want a piece of it to stand out that strongly that you actually forget sizable chunks of the rest of it? Like, I will remember that episode 3 over most of season 2, other than episode 2 maybe.
I think that you kind of bring up a good point, which is...
Thank you for saying I kind of bring it up. I appreciate
you do.
Just kind of.
I do think that it doesn't bode well if the best part of your show is the bottle episode. That, for sure, I feel like that you can't debate that. That is just a fact, right? If the best part of your show is the part of the show that, by definition, is the least like the rest of your show, that's not great. But that wasn't really the question you asked at the beginning, which was, do bottle episodes work, or are they a good idea? And I think we need to kind of split that up into two things. The first one being,
they work if they're good? If they're good, was my question.
Well, because I think that if you it depends on how you kind of define bottle episode, right? Because bottle episode in the kind of traditional sense was this kind of episode that doesn't really matter in the grander sense of the show, and was usually done in like sitcoms, right? Something where you could just kind of like have it be this like kind of contained little thing that can be thrown in the season whenever they need to, usually as like a, hey, let's get the bottle episode done and shot and edited and ready to go, so that if there's a week where we need a little extra time, we can just throw that bottle episode in there, right? In how they are used now and how it's used in The Last of Us season 1 is not quite that, right? It is a bottle episode in the sense that it is a contained story that kind of lies outside of the rest of the show, but it is not like a afterthought. And kind of like how I mentioned earlier, it matters where that episode is in the show, right? Because if you were to watch that episode as episode 2, it wouldn't work. If you would have watched that episode as episode 6, it wouldn't work. It only works because it was episode 3. Now, yes, you could go out of your way to just watch that and not watch the rest of the show, and you'd be like, wow, that's pretty good. But I think that speaks more to the fact that it was a well done, basically hour-long short film, like you mentioned. And I don't think that is indicative of the show itself being bad, or of the medium, I suppose, of bottle episodes being bad. I think the fact that it stands on its own probably lends to the fact that you remember it better.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Travis, what do you think?
I maybe am more on your side, Clay, of like, because I was just briefly scrolling through a list of trying to remember other bottle episodes. And the one that popped in my mind most famously is The Fly in Breaking Bad. And people hate that episode. I think it's a great episode, but it doesn't really contribute anything to the arc of the story. And it felt like a weird break from like a show we didn't want to break from, because that pacing of Breaking Bad is
they don't do bottle episodes.
Yeah, they don't do bottle episodes, and they kind of did one, and that was weird. And even though it was a good episode on its own, it kind of like disrupted this whole flow. And I do think like inherently bottle episodes are disruption. And I don't think like pacing is so important in the visual medium, especially with like a thriller. And so when you disrupt the pacing, I think even if the episode is good, it's kind of a negative thing. The other one I'm thinking of is the possible bottle episode that happened in Severance, but I'm still not convinced that it was a true bottle episode. I think a lot of it's when I forget her name, the main lady that like runs the Severance program, when she goes back to her hometown and like has the little side quest and we don't see any of the other characters, a lot of people are like, oh, that was a bottle episode. I don't think it was, but if it was, it didn't help anything. I think more of that will come into season 3. But if it doesn't, and that does just turn out to be like this little solo adventure with one character that disrupted then I'm going to say like, oh yeah, that wasn't a good choice. Why'd you do that? So,
yeah. The first one that popped into my mind, and it's interesting in this particular show, which again, not necessarily the best show in general, but it's Supernatural. I think of like the Trickster episode in like season 3 or 4, and it becomes a bottle episode because they return to their Monster a Week formula in the middle of having not done that for like an entire season, and not doing that thereafter, because they have a through line from seasons 3 to 5 where they're very focused on the Michael and Satan and the demons and everything, and then suddenly they're like Monster a Week, and then they justify it later by being like he was actually an angel, suck it, but like that's Supernatural, what are you gonna do?
And to your point, though,
I agree.
Like of all episodes I remember of Supernatural in the entirety of the series,
that's
the Trickster episode, that's the one. Like everyone knows him waking up to the alarm clock.
Groundhog Day. It's so
when
good.
I hear Heat of the Moment, I'm like Supernatural.
Yes.
But that is kind of like what I was saying, where like I almost feel like the fact that the reason it's memorable is because it stands on its own, not necessarily because it's better or worse or a good addition to the show or not. It's just that like, oh yeah, of course I remember that because it's 1 hour of like this one thing. It's not like, oh yeah, what happened in episode 2 of season 4 of Supernatural? Like, I don't know, man. Like lots of stuff. Maybe none.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
Who
none.
knows? Well, I think you both make really good points about that. Travis, I agree that the pacing, maybe that is a big part of my problem with it. Maybe a big part of my problem with it is the tangential tying to the larger narrative that is like really transparent to me. And maybe that's just where I need to chill the fuck out and enjoy a story instead of being like a douche. That's definitely part of it.
I know we're past the break, but like this is such a good topic. And I think this is what I talk about a lot with you with action films, because I know we differ on action films, but like pacing being so pivotal to action films of like, I think it even usurps things like character and plot a lot of the times with a straight up action film. And it's the same thing where it's like the thing I can point to with Transformers versus, John Wick is the dialogue sequences do not come at the right timeline. Like, so
in Transformers.
John Wick is hitting those points exactly when you're elevated and you need a break. It'll hit a dialogue scene and then you'll like be bored and then it'll come back up. It like is playing with your attention span perfectly. Whereas Transformers is like action. Now Shia LaBeouf's going to talk to this girl. And you're like, what is happening? So I think it's the same thing happening a lot with bottle episodes, is like that pacing. We subconsciously feel this like train rolling. And sometimes I think those bottle episodes can really feel like a jarring little stop break. And you're like, like what? Like, even if this is good, I don't know what's happening right now. So yeah, I think I just use that as an excuse to talk about action films like I usually do.
Yeah.
Well,
season
I
2
would
is
love
an
to talk
action
more action.
season. Peter loves action. I remember one time at a party, he was talking to me about the intricacy of character development through action and how more stories should be told entirely through action. And I was just very drunk listening to him and disagreeing the entire time, but like too drunk to formulate any actual words. So I was just like, yeah, you're totally, bro. But like, I did respect your opinion, Peter. I think you make a good point. And you can certainly develop a lot of world, develop a lot of character through well choreographed action. I have immense respect for that. Again, Game of Thrones is always the first thing that jumps to mind. It's just the fucking best. But like watching how two different people fight or how they handle killing somebody or whatever, that's all good ways to develop character and those other things through action. But Peter, you look like you wanted to say something before I start rambling.
I mean, we got to get to this break eventually, but before we do, I just wanted to say that yes, you're right. Action is, I think, can be just as valuable as dialogue, because action is just movement, and movement is acting. Action is acting, and acting is what I think we watch movies for. And that's why I think action can be so lovely.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do agree with that.
After the break.
I would love to. You should ask us a question about that, Peter. I do definitely think that action is as valuable as dialogue. Now, that being said, fighting and action are not the same thing. And let's go ahead and probably head to our break, eh? Speaking of action, let's take an action that we've been talking about for like 17 fucking minutes. We're going to go piss. We all have bladders. They're all full, and we're going to let them be empty. We're going to relieve them. We're going to have our own little bottle episode here for 5 minutes. Travis and Peter, go ahead and turn off your cameras. That will allow this video to play on the main screen, and we'll see you after the break. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to Fermented Fiction. We'll be back in 5. Goodbye.
See ya.
Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well, yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know.
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset. You know?
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
His boots are yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate that time.
You're
willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that was so
good.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
That is a banner. Clayton really
that was a
picked
banger,
a good
man.
one.
That thing's a banger. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Travis usually hosts our panel discussion, and by usually, I mean every time he's here. And I say usually because he's missed one episode, so technically it's usually, not
That's
always.
true.
Travis, we're going to kick it over to you. Ask us some fucking questions. We're so stoked to have everybody here.
We've got a lot to talk about. We will hopefully circle back to the action thing because that's one of my favorite subjects. I love action films. But they're, I think, one of the easiest to screw up. But I want to start with kind of the thing that dominated our assessments of season 2, which is how do you make obnoxious characters lovable and complete those arcs? Because Ellie's didn't do it, in my opinion. But I think there's a lot out there who do. I will reference a series that I constantly reference. Wheel of Time, Matt Cawthon, in the books.
The books.
Not the show. Matt Cawthon in the books is such a fantastic character arc. Because book 1 to 3, I legitimately hated him. He was terrible. And then by the time you get to the end of the series, like he's most people's favorite character because the way he develops, the way he figures out who he is like so good. But yeah, I have two parts to this question. First, why did the Ellie thing not work? I think you've already talked a lot about that, Peter, but if you have any extra thoughts. And second, outside of The Last of Us, what are some of your favorite character arcs?
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess to start with the Ellie thing, I think the biggest problem with the Ellie thing was that I dare I say it almost felt like they were purposefully writing her to be difficult to deal with. Like, and that came up multiple times during the show, was like that she just wasn't agreeable. Not that you have to be an agreeable person all the time, nor should you, and you should stand up for what you believe in. But it was like everything that all these situations that they were written for her, were things that she had to like dig in and like not give at all to. And because of that, it seemed like she wasn't listening. She wasn't listening to anyone that she cared about or that cared for her. Right. And I think that if she had instead had scenes where she was given a choice, because we all know that good stories are all based off of choices, of interesting choices. If there were more interesting choices that were not good or bad or black or white, but instead were like, ooh, what can we learn from Ellie by when she makes this decision, which is just good storytelling. If there was more of that, I think that she would have come off less irritating and annoying. And we could have liked her more if we seen a little bit more agency. So, and then in other words, what is some of my favorite character arcs? Gosh, that's that's just kind of like, what are my favorite movies, hopefully.
Yeah, right. Like they're gonna have the best ones.
You know, there are definitely some movies where like the main character doesn't learn anything. I think like Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a good example of like Ferris Bueller doesn't really learn much. Well, he does a little bit, but like the one that has the biggest arc and change is Cameron's character, right?
Yeah. Cameron has a great arc.
Where Cameron has a great arc. And is way more interesting. But Ferris Bueller is the title character and is the one that we follow, but maybe isn't the one that has the biggest arc. But now I'm just gonna go through some movies that I recently watched and see if anything comes to mind. You know what? One of my favorite movies of this year was Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And Dr.
You
Frankenstein,
made a little face when I brought that up, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Because okay, it's because it's, I think, one of the more interesting movies to come out this year, because people either loved it or hated it, and I think that's exciting. I think it's exciting when you can take such a swing that people are divisive, and that's good. At least not people being divisive is not great in all things, but in art it can be.
Yeah, for sure.
But
a good movie will always spark discussion and discourse.
Yes, yes, exactly. And in that movie, the doctor is not that interesting, but the monster is incredibly interesting. And like seeing him learn what it means to be human, and if he is human, and does he even want to be human? Oh, like I like that movie more because of its introspection and dealing with all of its themes so in such an interesting way. But that arc is pretty good too. So I'll say that's one of my favorite arcs of the last few movies that I've seen.
We talked about that on the podcast, and I think you're right that like Guillermo picked a lane. Like I think the book is a really complex, beautiful piece of work that has like 3 lanes, and Guillermo was like, the monster lane, that's my lane. And I'm gonna like make the best monster lane movie I can. So I agree with you, Peter. That was a great arc. Clay, what happened with Ellie, and what are some of your favorite character arcs?
That is always Guillermo's lane, by the way.
Yeah,
He
monster
always
lane, yeah,
sympathizes with
100%.
the monster. Because the monster represents humanity and something humanity's afraid to look at. That's what monsters always represent. And I think that that's something I love so much about him. And I will speak to a favorite character arc of mine, which is Pan's Labyrinth, just because Peter brought it up. And that's probably my favorite movie ever. But speaking to Ellie, I think it's less about anything with the delivery or anything of her character and more just about consistency, like it's believability. Because I don't buy that she has any kind of moral code really in season 2 when I see her demonstrate time and again her rampant toxic selfishness that kind of like drives her character through the entire narrative. It starts with a bookend of Abby and ends with a bookend of Abby, and that's fitting because Abby really dictates Ellie's narrative throughout the entire story. Abby is the story, like kill Abby, kill Abby, kill Abby, kill Abby. Now that's not right in the first episode, but by episode 2, which again was kind of like the peak of the season, from there on, Ellie doesn't have another motivation. She's got a romantic side quest. But that's really what that is, and that's kind of unfortunate because it's one of the only like positive relationships she has going on. That and Jesse, and her relationship with Jesse is frankly abusive. Like if it was framed the other way, that it would be not even thought about or questioned, but it is certainly an abusive relationship. Like he comes to save her ass time and again. He's always there for her. He is a good friend. He is forgiving. He is compassionate. He is understanding, and he is willing to be honest in the face of scrutiny when he votes no to go after the revenge quest. And we kind of
Worth
all know
noting that you're saying that you're saying that Jesse's the one being abused.
Absolutely.
That's worth noting. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Yes. Ellie is the abuser in this relationship, and in all of her relationships, she is the abusive one. I guess you could argue that Joel took her autonomy and choice away when it came to the Fireflies, because he did promise that he would not do that, and he did do it. So that was certainly a thing, but that doesn't play as much of a role in season 2 as it's like kind of supposed to. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like it had a lot of weight that wasn't necessarily seen on the screen. And I don't know if you guys agree with me, but that's how I felt about it. I felt like there was a lot of like stuff that we were supposed to believe in, but that was also riding on the coattails of the video game and of season 1. It's the same beef I have with Dune, the first Dune movie, which is like, if you didn't read Dune, I think you have a harder time enjoying Dune, the movie. Just because like there was a lot of subtext and there was a lot of call outs to the book and not really great explanations on the screen that helped root you in the story as you were perceiving it. So if you didn't play the video game in The Last of Us, you are in the dark. A lot more than people who did. And I get that, but at the same time, if you're adapting something, you have to understand that a lot of people who watch HBO don't play video games. Like you have to tell them the whole story, or you have to tell them enough of it that they can enjoy the series without playing the video game. And I don't know, maybe you disagree with that too, but like, I think that's a pretty important job of translating something to another medium. Like you can't expect everybody to read Lord of the Rings who enjoyed the trilogy, you know? But plenty of people did. So with Ellie, to me, I think a lot of it came down to, if you played the video game, you probably have a lot more like connection to that character that maybe subconsciously translates to the screen. And so you can kind of empathize more than somebody who didn't play the video game and has no empathy for her, and then very little to latch onto in terms of like, why should I root for this character? Because she's treated everybody around her kind of terribly most of the time. And then at the end, like, okay, I'm really going on this Jesse thing. I loved the Jesse character. But when they're having the conversation, they are in the Seattle library and they're looking at the pier, and she's about to go out there and go after her final revenge, even though they sort of both just agreed that they weren't going to do that. But then suddenly she's like, oh, wait, I actually do know where Abby is. So now that I know that, fuck you. Which is kind of her vibe the whole time. She's like, yeah, you're right, Jesse. Maybe we should care about like going home. And you're right. I got to take the L on this one. I'm a piece of shit. Time to go home. I've caused you all, put you all in a bunch of risk. And then as soon as she can see the end result that she wanted, she's right back to being like, I mean, but you're coming, right? Like, cause fuck her. Like, fuck Abby. Let's go kill her. That's what we're here for. Why'd we come all this way? And he's like, no, how about we go help your uncle instead and go home like we just agreed we were going to do. And she's like, yeah, how about no? I'm going to go kill Abby because that's what I'm here for. And they have this conversation about the community. And all of a sudden, Ellie's like, fuck the community. And she's like, my community got killed right in front of me. Blah, blah, blah. And that's where like the incongruency comes into play for me. I'm like, you were in the Wyoming community way longer than you were with just Joel. That's the timeline. 5 years. That's a long time, bro. Especially when you're a kid. That is 14 to 19. Those are extremely formative years. Those are extremely important, like bond forming years that you spent in this Wyoming community. And you're telling me the only person you give a fuck about is Joel? Seriously? And then you're a dick to him. And again, this goes back to what we see on the actual screen, which is you being a dick to Joel all the fucking time. Like both things can't be true. Like, which one is it? Is Joel your only person you have in this world? Then show us evidence of that. Show us that in the flashback episode. You showed us all the reasons we should like Joel, but you showed us no reason that you don't have a stronger connection to your community as a whole that you lived in for 5 fucking years. And when you're a 14-year-old to 19-year-old, 5 years is your whole life. Like, that's how it works. You have no concept of being 25. You think by the time you're 30, you might as well be dead. Like, you know, like when you're that old, those years are so important and so informative and so like such a huge part of who you become as a person later on. Like that cannot be understated. And so like I have a really hard time buying that inconsistency.
I mean, I think there's just goes to show. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just think there's so many scenes that show like Ellie, like I agree with you, Clay, that they don't show us Ellie, the community and Ellie bonding. I think they do show us, maybe unintentionally or inadvertently, Ellie just rejecting them wholesale. And I'm like, okay, from what I see on screen, if you did that for 5 years, yeah, you don't have a community. And it's your fault. like one of the scenes I'm thinking of is when they go out of their way, or what is the uncle's wife? The uncle's wife. I forget her name. I'm bad with names.
Yeah, like
anyway,
basically Maria. Is her name Maria?
Goes out of her way to like bring Ellie to the cook, and like the cook is there and he's like, I apologize for the action that I performed. And I'm like, here's sandwiches. Like that shows the community of what they are, of like the leader of this whole thing brings you to a person who's going to genuinely apologize to you and give you food. And her whole demeanor is just like, fuck you. And like walks away. And I thought that was like, that's what they showed us, is that Ellie just like has rejected this place for 5 years straight.
Well, sure, but we also show her not doing that. She's with her uncle shooting, and that's a really sweet moment. It's one of the first times we see Ellie on the screen in season 2. I think it is the first time we see Ellie on the screen in season 2. She's sniping with her uncle, and they're picking off clickers, and he's like, "Great job, you're really getting the hang of this." And she's like, "Yeah," and you feel like, "Oh, cool, there's some empowerment for our main character. I'm excited to see how she grows and develops throughout the season." Little do you know. And then we have her relationship with Jesse, which is like pretty sweet. Like, you see them talking, you see them joking around, you see throughout the season Joel asking, like, are you guys like a thing? And she's like, no. Which is great because that's a nice platonic relationship. I'm a huge fan of that, like showing that people can be friends and not have to fuck each other. And I think this is a good example. It's so good. It's so good when they do it right. It's so good when they do it right. And I feel like those are all examples of that community being bigger than like her anger, than her resentment, than her
I think
rejection of the community. And it's 5 years.
I just want to push back though, because even in those, I think it displays that the community is there for her. But even in those two sweet moments, pretty much all of her dialogue is just like them being like, hey, you have a job. You're part of this place. We want you here. And her being like, no, I'm not. Like, no. Like, even the scene sniping with the uncle, the first thing he does is say, hey, I'm putting you on this duty because Joel's worried about you. And she's like, put me on patrol. And he's like, but last time you almost got yourself killed. And she's like, I don't care. You want to do this for me. And he's like, but don't tell people you're immune. And she's like, I'm immune. And like shouting to the sky. So like, it was a sweet moment. It was also just Ellie being obnoxious and pushing back. So like, I think even in those sweet moments,
I mean, that's fair.
We see the community being sweet, but we don't see Ellie like she's just wholesale rejecting them every time we see it. But Peter,
And, like,
I feel like I
wouldn't it
interrupted
be
you
so
again.
much more interesting if she was a part of that community, if she did learn that like these are her people and she is part of them, and like this is a whole thing that's been built up, and it took 5 years, but she's not a loner anymore. She's a part of this community, and then she decides to go and leave it all behind. Like that's so much more interesting. And then when they catch up to her and she's so in her head about her wanting to kill Abby, and it's like, wait, no, remember this community that you do love and that we love you and you are a part of? Come back to that. You don't need revenge. You just need the people, your people. And it's like, and then she pushes it away again. Like, oh, that's so much more interesting than like her being like, nah, fuck everybody.
I think
you're right. You're right, Peter, because that's such an important part of your relationship as a consumer to any character in fiction, is like how much you can relate to the situation they're in. We're talking about speculative fiction. None of us live in a world where an interplanetary fungal virus has killed 90% of people. So we have to suspend our disbelief to it. Right. I assume it's interplanetary. I mean, where the fuck did it come from, bro? I just meant planetary, but I said inter. I'm a horror
You're gonna
bro,
buckle
not
down.
a sci-fi
You're gonna
guy,
buckle
okay?
down. Yep.
Yeah,
You're just gonna buckle
down. I'm backing it up. I'm backing up what I said. It's got to be interplanetary. You know, statistically, there's no way there's no other planet that has a whole planet of fungus taking over all its other sentient beings. But anyway, the point being, like the community and Ellie's relationship to it has to be relatable to us regardless of the other circumstances. That's why character is such an important building block in any story, and that's why so many people hold it higher on the pedestal than so many other things. It's because if we can't see ourselves in that story, in those choices, like you said, Peter, if we can't like relate to those choices and learn from them, then like what does the story do for us? We have to be able to see ourselves in it. And if we can't, then it's going to mean less to us than a story where we can. And I just think that in this LA story, it was hard to see yourself in it because nobody wants to think that's how they react in like 90% of their situations.
Well, like I think that season 1 worked so well because we liked Joel. We liked Joel.
Totally.
We saw him do fucked up shit, and we're like, oh man, right? And then,
but we get it.
And like season 2 shouldn't just be a rehash of season 1. Like we can't just do that again. But like the whole point, at least that I see from the game, how the game took it, is you have Ellie, who we do like. We do like Ellie. We want to see her succeed. We want to see her get what she wants. The problem is what she wants, we should know, is bad for her, right? And so like that's the difference, right? Whereas season 1 was watching someone do bad stuff and then at the end have to decide like, oh God, this unmakeable decision. I have to make a decision, right? And that's interesting. And then season 2 should be watching someone we like do things that we know is bad, and then maybe seeing how it affects how your actions affect everybody else.
Exactly. And like that was kind of where I was trying to go, and then I got sidetracked. But with the with that conversation, overlooking the Seattle waterfront, when she decides to chase vengeance instead of returning to community, when she has that definitive choice, and you brought that up for a reason. Like, I think that is one of the few points in season 2 where Ellie makes a tangible, relatable decision. And that's like, we can all relate to that feeling of, I've come this far. I'm not turning back now. I don't care if it's no longer good for me. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I don't care if it hurts people. I have brought myself this far and I'm committed to this. Fuck all of y'all. I'm doing it. Like, we've all made that decision at some point or another. And we've also, hopefully, all not made that decision at some point and been like, you know what? This isn't, you're right. I really want this, but you're right. It's not the right decision. And that's super relatable. It's super empathetic, but she doesn't make it. She doesn't make the decision we want her to. And that's actually really powerful storytelling. But because we don't empathize with Ellie, or in my case, even necessarily believe in her reasoning because I haven't seen it demonstrated enough throughout the story, it doesn't land. So
I think it doesn't land because we don't like her, and we've been
exactly
led to not like her for 4 episodes. If she made a bad decision that we knew was bad for her and she knew was bad for her, and all of that
we'd
was
be
the
like,
same,
no.
Yes, we'd be like, oh no. Well, let's see what happens, But like, it comes at fucking season for episode 5 or 7 or whatever. It's like, Jesus, like this is just like annoying. And like all of her annoying choices have led to her making another annoying choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that that leads perfectly into my next question, because I think one thing you pointed to it a little, Peter, and then like moved on, but I think you made a really good point of I think what the show does in season 2 a lot is it tells, not shows. People overuse that phrase a lot, but I do think it's on display here of like, we're told through the dialogue, like Ellie is headstrong and makes her decisions and like doesn't listen to other people. Like all her lines are almost like force feeding that theme to us instead of like showing us, what she's struggling with through action. Again, we talk about actions can sometimes speak really miles even above dialogue. So that's my big question here is like the show don't tell thing in a story like this, I think was incredibly important. I think it was fumbled. I think in the first season, Pedro does an excellent job of like showing us why we should like Joel with some of his little subtle actions with the characters he interacts with. I think another great example is the brother. Tommy shows a lot of his personality just by how he moves, interacts with his wife and his child, and Jesse and the people around him. But Ellie, every line is like telling me who she's supposed to be. And so, question to you guys of like, do you agree? A, and then B, when you're looking at media, at visual media, like where does that fall for you in importance of like the show don't tell thing? And what does it even mean, kind of? So a lot of questions in there, but
one of my other pet peeves recently has been therapists in media. Because
that's a tough one.
Here's the problem is that I think therapy is great and you should go to therapy. If you don't think you need therapy, it might be worth it. It's good. It's good to show therapy in movies and media because it, helps destigmatize it, which is good. The problem is that the way it's always used, which is not necessarily bad because I don't know how else you would use therapy in a storytelling perspective, is just to spew exactly what the character is thinking at the camera, and it's just annoying because it's like, I get it, I see what you're doing, it's just a little lazy is all. And we have that here in season 2 with the therapist character, which again, therapy good. Using therapy as the only way to get across your character's inner monologue and thoughts and perspective on the world, not great.
So good.
So
yeah, I mean,
does this season do a lot of telling and not showing? Yes. Also, most everybody just kind of, from what I remember, it has been a while since I've seen this show, but from what I remember, it is a lot of just kind of like yelling at each other of what they're thinking and why they are thinking it, which is fine. But like, what do you do with that? If you don't do anything interesting with those differing perspectives, like you can't just say like, I have one perspective. And the other character goes, I have a different perspective. And here's why. It's completely justified that I have this other perspective. And then the other person goes, yeah, well, my perspective is also different from yours, but I'm also justified in having that perspective. It's like, cool. What?
Yeah.
Sounds like only the director went to therapy.
And to your point, like there's been really good therapist scenes in TV. Like the Sopranos opening episode is so good but it's doing the opposite of what you're saying. It's like Tony doing everything he can to not talk about his feelings.
Mhm.
And that really shows you like, oh, what would a gangster be like in therapy, where she's like, what did you do this weekend? And he's like, oh, I did a delivery. And then it like shows him killing a guy.
Yep.
So there's ways that can be really cleverly used. And I think you're right, Peter, that it gets abused a lot. But Clay?
Well, and I actually think they did it right at first, and then they botched it. Because I agree with you, Peter. They definitely botched it later. But you know when they did it right? Was that first conversation with Dina. When Pedro Pascal was using a bunch of therapy language, or Joel was using therapy language, and she was like, are you in fucking therapy? Like, that was great, because that is what happens. Like, if you start going to therapy, you start changing the way you talk, you start changing your perspective, and people do notice. Like, they will be like, where'd you get that word from? Like, why are you
I
talking
will admit
like
that I do like the fact that the therapist doesn't like him. That's a fun dynamic.
It's good.
But what do they do with that? They just say, I don't like you. Here's why I don't like you. And I'm
here's
completely
my
justified
perspective.
in
And my perspective is valid because of X. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
was
the
the
original
original question, Trav?
Original question was, what is show don't tell kind of, and like, do you think it's got as much kind of, I feel like people use it a lot, maybe overuse it. I'm saying like, oh, I didn't like that because it showed not tell. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I'd just love to get your guys' perspective on that whole topic of like, what is show don't tell? Is it really as important as people make it out to be?
Yes.
All right. I have a take on that.
All right.
It is important, obviously. Like, it is much more interesting and therefore, I think, more enjoyable to watch something that like shows you in a visual way. When I'm talking about movies and TV here, not necessarily novels, which is slightly different, but it's much
cool. Just discredit my whole profession, bro.
Medium. Yeah, because it is a visual medium, it's much more interesting to watch people do things than to say things, which then goes back to action is movies. But I do think that it's way overused and people don't really understand it because for instance, I think there's a misunderstanding rather, that if there's a lot of dialogue, then it's telling and not showing, which is not necessarily the case. And at the end of the day, what's most important is that it is enjoyable to watch and interesting. And that you can have an entire movie that is just people talking at each other.
Yep.
And that can be fine. And that is a lot of telling and not necessarily showing, but the whole point is that you don't want to be so direct that there's nothing to infer. Telling is no inference. Showing is leaving the ability to infer what is not said.
Yeah.
You take away the ability to infer when you tell too much, and it has nothing to do with action or dialogue. I think that it doesn't matter at all how you tell your story. It depends on how your story needs to be told. That's how you should tell it. If your story is about two people having a conversation, great. That's Banshees of Inisherin. That's two people trying their ass off to have a conversation and just being completely unable to do it.
It's like most Quentin Tarantino movies are like all dialogue.
Yes, a movie can be all dialogue. Dialogue is not inherently telling. Dialogue can be extremely showing. The amount that you say, what you say, how you say it, all matters tremendously. I mean, look at that opening scene of Inglourious Bastards, to use a Tarantino example, right? You have active manipulation, you have active character development happening on like 3 different tiers all at the same time, just on that conversation. You cut to characters, you see how they react to dialogue, you give the dialogue, you see how that dialogue changes somebody else's reaction, you see someone swallow, you see someone like hesitate to respond, you see how they respond. Like, dialogue can be just as showing as action. Action can be just as showing as dialogue, or more so. It doesn't really matter. The point is that it all moves the narrative forward, and that it all reveals something about the characters. It reveals the stakes. It keeps the tension moving. Like, all the other parts of the story have to continue to move as a result of your character's actions or dialogue is an action. Talking to someone is an action. What we're doing right now is action. Like, that's just as much an action as fighting somebody. So I guess that's kind of where I buckle down on that. But I don't think it, I think this delineation between dialogue and action is a superficial one. Where I think we're discrediting dialogue and talking as an action. That is a choice. Like, you choose to sit down and talk to somebody. That is an action. And it's a hard one. And I think what we get misconstrued is how hard that is to me. Like, bad dialogue to me is dialogue that doesn't feel real. And that's dialogue that we can't relate to, just like I was talking to earlier. Like, if you can't relate to what people are saying, if it doesn't sound actually human, if it doesn't sound like something you might say in that same situation under those same circumstances, it's going to be really hard for you to believe it. And I think that's something that maybe The Last of Us Season 2 struggles with, is like, I have a hard time believing that I would say this in this situation, you know, no matter what.
I think Peter said something that really bridges the gap between the two ideas you guys are both saying. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but the inference to me, and it's something I hammer home in a lot of talk, and I'm not going to mention the movie I always mention, not going to do it, is when the art doesn't insult the intelligence of the consumer.
When you're taking away your audience's autonomy when you don't trust them with the work.
Yeah. So like, inference is huge on that, of like, you have to trust that they can understand by the action mixed with the dialogue, or just one or the other, that they get what you're trying to do. I think one of the best examples that I will use instead of the movie I always use is The Social Network. Like, the opening sequence of The Social Network is all talking. There's literally a fun trivia fact about that movie, that the reason Jesse Eisenberg talks so fast is because Sorkin's script was so wordy, and they didn't want to cut any of it because it was so good. So he talks like a mile a minute because it's all dialogue, but you watch them interact and you see her grow like uncomfortable minutes before he even realizes what's happening. And like, you see this little playful thing of like, she's clearly actually pissed and he's just talking at her and like, oh, everything's fine. And then when she's like, I'm dumping you, he's like, wait, what? Like, so it's like showing as well as telling through the dialogue, because you can hear what he's saying and he's being an asshole and you know what's happening between them, but it's doing both. And I think you're right, Peter, that like all that inference is built in on several layers, and it is dialogue heavy, but it's showing you at the same time. And so I think that was a really good point.
Dialogue is an action. And I will use a movie that I do reference a lot. the cold open to Cabin in the Woods. I fucking love it because it brings us right into the world in a way that we don't expect to be brought into the world. Like, we came into this movie thinking it was one thing, and because of that opening scene, we're like, I actually don't know what this movie is. And it sets us up for the rest of the narrative because they're just talking about like child-proofing cabinets at the water cooler. And you actually realize, because of that dialogue choice, because of that action, that is more terrifying. Like, these are the people in charge of the whole fucking world. Like, and that's the truth. And when you think about that, it's absolutely terrifying. So that's horror at its finest, and dialogue can be used as an action in that way to a very effective degree. But Peter, what do you think?
I think the telling that is bad is telling the audience how they are supposed to feel and how they and what they are supposed to know. What you need to show is why they should feel that way. That's the difference. You can tell you should tell your audience what is happening, but not
you have to tell them
how to feel.
Right.
Yep.
Not how to feel, and definitely not how to interpret something. Like, I agree, Peter. Like, that's the biggest difference. Like, when you're telling, and telling should be minimized. I do truly believe that. I think showing will tell a lot of things. Good stories show you everything you need to see, and that tells you everything you need to know. Like, you will know by the way a character acts in a situation if it's dangerous. You don't need to tell us. Like, oh, this tunnel's full of infected. You don't have to show us that. Just show us the character being like looking in there and like having their gun ready. Like, that's enough, bro. I know it's dangerous. You have your gun out. You didn't have it out before. I get it. Like, it's dangerous, you know? Like,
I do. Sorry.
Go ahead, Trev.
I do wonder with The Last of Us, and maybe Peter, you can speak to this more because I've only played the first game and then I watched a bunch of videos about the second one because everyone was so pissed off. I had to see. So I think that might be a flaw of them trying to, like you say, adapt too directly. Is there were several scenes in this season and even in season 1 where like some of the actions of characters, I was like, that right there was setting up a scenario that you would have played. You know, like there were like moments where I heard characters say things like, oh, we got to go check on this thing. And I'm like, oh, that right there would be like the introduction of a new map. Like, that would have been a new kind of level to this video game. And I don't know, did you see that? Or do you think that could have been a problem with that overemphasis on telling?
I mean, yes, I think that honestly, that was one of the things that I praise The Last of Us, both season 1 and season 2, is how they did such a good job of recreating the feel of the game. Like, I mean, it takes place, a lot of it is in Seattle, and it doesn't feel like Seattle, but it does feel like The Last of Us, the game's version of Seattle. And that's really cool. That's really cool because it felt genuine in a way that was great. It was really well done. But I do think you're right. I think a part of the reason that it failed is because it didn't allow for the audience to make up their own mind on why these things mattered, right? Like we said, the telling part that is bad is telling the audience how to feel about something and not giving them all the information to make them feel that way. At the end of the day, movies and TV are a lot of manipulation, and that is okay because we want to be manipulated, right? It's like a magic trick. We want to be fooled. We want that emotional manipulation, basically, right? And so if you can give the audience all those pieces to make them feel the way that you want them to feel without saying, and now be sad, then it's good. But I think you're right. Whereas a lot of the reason why the game was so successful, at least I think it was successful. I think the second game is maybe better than the first game. Come at me in the comments. I think the reason why the second game is so good is all those little things that you kind of have a control over as a player, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like people like will shout out names of all the people that you're killing, right? That you're like
That's such a show. That's such a show.
It's so good, right? It's great. And it's hard to translate that into a TV show, which you can do if you showed Ellie making some violent, bad decisions and then making us go, oh no, we liked her earlier because of things that you showed us that we liked. And now she's doing things that we don't like. And you're showing us things that are bad for her and bad for us. That would be good emotional manipulation and good show and not tell. But you can't try to do that in a TV show.
Almost like the amount of time I'm rewatching Breaking Bad with my wife right now, and the amount of time you like cling on to Walt as like maybe he's okay, like not okay, like he's bad the whole time, but maybe he's redeemable. And then there's like several moments in the last 2 seasons where he shows he's never been redeemable, and you have to like look back and be like, oh, oops. Like I was rooting for this guy for way too long. And like they could have done a mini version of that like the game does, because I think you're rooting for yourself to win in a video game. And then when it shows you the moment that's like, these are people that she's like slaughtering, you're like, oh, I just did that for like.
And then what's brilliant is that you play. Then you change and you play as Abby, and you play as the person that you were so directly hating, right? And like that's such a genius use of
genius.
Medium. It's genius use of medium to have you then embody. Like, how much more empathetic can you get as a consumer of this story and of this medium than to embody this character that you were hating so much for the majority of the last like probably 15 hours worth of gameplay, right?
Yeah,
brilliant.
No, and you're totally right, Peter, because that's a masterclass on medium use and audience manipulation. But like, and they tried to do it in the show, I think, but they didn't succeed. They didn't succeed because they opened with her and they closed with her, but we were still with Ellie the whole time, and we were with Ellie last season, so we have a very entrenched bias towards Ellie. Like you don't get to just like throw Abby in there and expect us to care about her, even though you gave us a scene of her. Like that's telling versus showing. You know,
it's almost
that's
like
the difference. That's the power of it.
I'm having a brain blast, and this might be wild. Okay, but
do it. Get wild.
Are we
Peter's
supposed
gone
to
wild.
love? Are we supposed to love Abby and hate Ellie so that the second season hits harder?
Absolutely.
Although it would make a lot more sense if we loved Ellie and hated Abby until the third season, right?
Yeah, because it would flip it on its head.
That's like the point, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they're gonna surprise me with season 3, and they're going to use my biases and this basically how I'm feeling right now and turn it on its head and like make a statement in season 3, and then I'll love it and I'll come back and I was like, oh my God, I was so blind.
I'm so wrong.
I doubt it.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Travis, you got any more questions?
I mean, always, but I do want to respect our time. So I think that was a good
Can I ask you a question before we go? And that is, we've talked a lot about showing, telling, action, story, all that, right? I want to know, what is an example of a good action sequence that displays character? Or, you know what? Or just what's a cool action sequence from a movie that you've seen recently or that you just love? And why is it good?
Do you mean fighting? I assume you don't mean my definition of action, which is literally anything people do.
I think that's a little too loose, but it definitely doesn't have to be fighting. You know, I think that like a really for instance, I think a great action sequence that is not fighting, but is also not dialogue is the poker scene from Casino Royale.
Sure.
Yeah. Great scene.
Okay.
Car chases can be very in-depth telling.
That's
They
basically
can-
fighting, but sure. Go ahead, Trav.
That's a chase.
There's a couple of
That's just fighting with cars. Let's be real.
there's a couple of South Korean films called The Raid and
Oh,
The
yeah.
Raid 2.
Oh, yeah.
The Raid 2. The Raid 2 is hands down, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever made. It is The Departed mixed with like the best kung fu movie you've ever watched. It's insane. It's literally take like the best Jackie Chan, Jet Li, whatever, best martial arts film you can think of, and just mix it with the plot line of The Departed with that level of acting included. That's The Raid 2. And there's a scene in The Raid 2 where the whole movie you've had these two villains who are literally just referred to as baseball bat guy and hammer girl. Like they don't have names. But you get their stories through like how they kill all their targets. And you also weirdly get this like attachment to them and that they're clearly in love with each other. And then the final fight with those two is this hallway fight where both of them are working together to like beat the main character. And he has to like adapt to their different styles. And there's a moment when he adapts to baseball guy and like kills her. No. Yeah, he kills baseball guy first and then looks down the hall and hammer girl just goes like ape shit and almost kills him. And you see in that action sequence like true love between these two psychopaths, and it's really cool. And then our main character offs them both and moves on to like two other guys because he's invincible. It's such a good movie. And every sequence is like that. Like the final fight between him and the main like kung fu villain is like an opera. It's so personality battle knife fight. It's amazing. Go watch The Raid and then immediately watch The Raid 2 because I could watch it infinite amount of times.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I think about a lot the fact that like Shakespeare is basically, world renowned for being a really great storyteller. I think everyone can agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
And yet all of his action sequences are 2 words. They fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
They fight.
And it's like, oh man, like there's so much more there that could be done, But oh well, there's plenty to like about Shakespeare. That's a totally different podcast. What about you?
There
Clay?
is.
I'm curious.
There is much more that is done with those scenes, and that onus falls on the director. Shakespeare understands this. He's a playwright. He knows that the fight that will be portrayed is not really his to put on the page, and were he to put it on the page, he'd actually diminish it. Because that's what a master knows. They know where they stand. They know what part of the story they have to play. I'm going to use a weird example because it's one that just had me in splinters last time I was watching it, and I was watching it in a weird setting. So I'm talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm going to debate this. I'm going to debate this live on stage in the second weekend of April, so it's going to be fun. But my favorite, honestly, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. My favorite scene of K-pop Demon Hunters, and action doesn't have to be fighting. I'm going to just continue to reiterate this because I believe it to my core. There's a scene where in K-pop Demon Hunters, so the demon cat thing like shows up and it delivers a message from the boy band to the female band, and it gives over the message, and the cat demon like knocks over a pot, and it's like, oh fuck. And this cat demon clearly has like ADHD or whatever. It's like, I have to pick up this pot and fix it. And it keeps trying. It tries so many times. It tries like 6-7 times, like enough times that it's like funny, then not funny, then not funny, then funny, then not funny. And it eventually, like, she picks it up for him and puts it up. And then when he goes back down, he like dissolves back into the earth. He like knocks it over again. And as he's going down, he's going down and he like looks at it. He's like, he sees us knocked over again, and he's like, I cannot handle that, but it's too late. He's already disappeared into the earth. And like, that's such a perfect example of everything we've been talking about. Showing, not telling. Like, that cat, we don't need to know that it, like, for whatever reason, really cares that pot is standing up. It's like, just, that's one of its quirks. And like, despite the fact that it's like this terrifying like tiger demon, it adds such a like welcome dose of comedic relief to the story in a place where we didn't expect it. And that's like the power of good storytelling. You can put comedic relief where it doesn't belong, and that's where you didn't know you needed belief, but all of a sudden you have it, and you're so much more invested in the story. And that's just one of those moments where action can be so much more powerful than words.
Yeah.
Well said. Well
It's
said.
the first one that jumps out to me. There are many of them, but yeah.
Peter, do you have one that pops to mind?
I mean, I did say, now I'm trying to think specifically of like action scenes that are not, I guess, as Clay said, I guess we're gonna not do chase sequences nor fighting.
I did fighting.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but now I'm trying to broaden my horizons, because I do think that they're like,
I just think it's a narrow perspective to think
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
And I think that's actually detrimental to the power of action when you say it's just fighting.
Yes, I agree. Action is not just fighting, but it also, I feel like what makes a good action sequence is two or more people trying to come to two opposing sides trying to get something done, right?
Sure.
And like, with that in mind, I feel like a great action scene, let me think, that isn't fighting or car chasing or chasing in general, really.
I believe in you, Peter.
I was going to say the scene in Iron Man where he's building the suit for the first time in the cave with the box of scraps.
Yeah, totally.
And like how
so much action.
Well, you see a lot of like, he's doing one thing and then he's like also like making it not clear what he's doing, right? To the people that are like spying on him, to the terrorists that are spying on him. And like, most of that is not like said in dialogue. It's mostly shots of like him building stuff, and then when they come, he like hides it or like changes something. And like, that's two opposing sides trying to, battling over something.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good one. That being said,
I agree.
In a more traditional action sequence,
which is a fight.
Yes, which is a fight. I think that the scene in Mad Max where he's like fighting with Furiosa for the first time, and I mean, basically that entire goddamn movie is
it's
so good. But that scene where it's just so good when an action sequence is good when you can describe the action sequence to your friend, right? As opposed to like the Bourne movies where there's a lot of like shaky cam and they're just kind of like fighting and punching.
Those are terrible.
Not great.
Shaky
right?
cam was weird.
Yeah. But when you can like describe the actions, like, okay, then he like jumps from the back of the car on back of the trailer further up onto the trailer, and then one of the swinging cat guys comes down onto the trailer, and then he ducks and then shoots the thing, and then he gets like an arrow thing on his palm, which then reminds him of an earlier time that he had. It's like, oh, see, when you can describe the action and it makes sense from beat to beat, that's how I know it's good.
When you can go full like kindergartner telling me about the movie they watched with their parents over the weekend, because that's 100%. It's just like, and then the dragon does the fire, and then up like, tell me.
Well, look, I don't want to totally disrespect fighting scenes. I super don't disrespect a good fighting scene. Like, let me use Game of Thrones as an example, as I always do. But the best example of this that I can think of off the dome is the Jaime Lannister Eddard Stark fight in the streets. It's fucking awesome. Like, it illustrates everything you need to know about both houses, including Jaime. And it illustrates a misconception you have of him. Like, you would think he'd be okay with his dude stabbing Eddard in the shin and then like him winning because of that, but he's not. He kills that dude. He straight kills him, like his own dude. And he's like, fuck you. Like how dare you? I was gonna do this on my own, you know? And you learn a lot about both characters from that. And that is actually also foreshadowed from a previous conversation where Eddard is like, I don't fight in tourneys because I don't want people to know what I do. And then when they fight in the streets, you're like, yeah, actually, Eddard's a badass and he can take Jaime, even though everyone thinks Jaime's the best fighter in the whole kingdom. So that's a great example of a battle scene that reveals like seven different layers of character development that have already been pre-revealed throughout the show. Is crazy.
I will say, Clay, I think what got you on this subject for a lot of this podcast is the fact I just said action related to combat because that's what we call the genre. I agree with you. That word has been co-opted into what it doesn't fully encompass, but we call fight scene heavy movies action movies. That's what I was saying.
No, it's true. It's true. And I feel a little bit alone on some hill that I'm trying to die on, that action isn't necessarily that.
It's a good hill. It's a great hill.
It's a great hill, bro. Like, I know you're right. Action as a genre means fight scene, means fast pacing, whatever. It means
Maybe
John Wick. And I'm not
it
hating on John Wick. John Wick's actually really good because John Wick knows what the fuck it is. But
here's my take on John Wick. John Wick is the best comic book movie to not be a comic book.
Yeah. That's the
True.
vibe.
I agree, Peter. I agree. And on that note, it's about time to be closing this thing out because we're almost a half hour past the due date. Peter, hey, that says a lot because usually no, dude, don't be sorry. Usually we have a whole another host on here, and that's why it takes so long. But we always go over time. But we just had Yumi and Travis tonight, and I feel like we could go a whole nother hour.
Oh yeah, we haven't even started talking about sword fighting specifically in movies.
We haven't.
Catch us next time.
Most of it is dog shit. But
we should do Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We should all go watch it, and then we should do it.
Oh man, I don't know if HBO's version of A Song of Ice and Fire has me anymore. But that's maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll give a Night of Seven Kingdoms.
I don't blame you, Peter. I really don't blame you, but I do encourage you to give it one more try.
All right.
Have you read the book?
I've not.
You should.
I won't.
It's really fucking good.
So that I can come in with a different perspective.
I
won't.
I won't. I'm also
you know what?
real deep into Lord of the Rings right now. So
so good. So good.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, everybody.
I'll do it for you.
Let's wrap this thing up. Thank you for tuning in to Fermented Fiction yet again. Thank you, Peter, for being here as our guest. We always end our episodes with a bit of a rating, and it's unconventional. It might be viewed as unhelpful, but it can also be viewed as we don't give a fuck. So, like, whether it's helpful to you or not isn't really our concern. We're still going to do it the way we do it. And here's how we do it.
And we don't care.
That's right. Very thematic, Peter. We don't really care if you like it. We're going to do it our way and fuck you if you don't like it. So here it is.
I don't have a community.
I don't care about my community. Fuck the community. Here it is. How many drinks or substances of your choice do you need to enjoy The Last of Us Season 2 to its fullest extent? I have been enjoying this episode to the fullest extent, as you can tell. Travis.
Yo.
How many drinks do you need? Rate this thing. Fermented Fiction rating. Do it. Get
think
me
you
off the hot seat because I'm drunk. Let's go.
I think you prepare yourself a strong, prepare yourself for like a nice sipping whiskey for every episode. So that's 7. You're going to have, it might be days you take, but a nice sipping whiskey, because I feel like Joel's a sipping whiskey type of guy.
Yeah.
And then you're going to drink like 3 of those that you planned to drink 7 in the first episode because it's so painful. And then you're going to drink 3 more in the second episode because it's so damn good. And then you're going to be sitting with 1 and a lot, and you're drunk for the rest of the 5 episodes and, finish that 1 somewhere in the middle there. And then by episode 7, you're hungover and you don't really know what you did.
Sure.
That's my rating.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Very, very concise.
I do like
rating.
that.
Thank you.
I do like that.
I try and be concise on this.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I would give it a gram of psilocybin.
Sure. That'll do it.
And then I'll fall asleep like 3-4 episodes in, and then I don't have to watch the rest of it.
Or you wake up and still know what's going on somehow.
Yeah, if you make it to episode 2 on your psilocybin and
I'll be
then
like,
you
"This
fall
is too
asleep,
much, man.
you'll be like, that's fine.
This is a lot.
This is a lot. The friggin' zombies out of the avalanche snow
Come on now.
was that was dope.
It was sick.
That was pretty cool. There's a lot of cool things we didn't talk about in this show.
We
Just
kind of
because
ranted about
it
Ellie.
didn't really roll into it, but
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
God damn. This is how hard it is, everybody, to analyze
To have
cinema.
us shut up.
Yeah, to get us to shut the fuck up, no matter how much we drink. Well, I wouldn't recommend drinking Distiller's Reserve, but I would definitely drink. I like Travis's rating. Drink a glass for every episode, and you might front load a couple of those because the first couple episodes are the best of the season. So go ahead and ride those. I do like to microdose on mushrooms as well, and I think that's a great way to just start the season. Just pop one in, watch the 2 episodes, drink your couple glasses of whiskey, see where that takes you, and then go from there. Because you'll be able to adjust accordingly to your own perspective as you continue on. But for me, I needed to get a little more drunk as I continued to watch. And then by the time you get to episode 7, you're going to get to that ending, and you're going to be like, damn, what the fuck? Which we didn't even talk about the ending, which is crazy.
We did.
Because
we
I
did
think
a little.
not really. I think that warranted a whole ass question, but we didn't even get to it, which
Whoa.
is kind of bananas.
Whoa.
But there's a lot to like in the show.
Don't shoot the question.
You don't need to hate it.
Not an attack on you, bro. Not an attack on you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Fermented Fiction. We've been here with Peter Castro. Peter, can you tell everybody one more time who you are, what you do, where they can find you?
I'll make it quick because it's been 2.5 hours.
Please do.
I'm Peter DM Castro. You can find me at sporkle.com and all over the Sporkle social medias. But if you really want something fun to listen to and to have a good time, go check out my podcast, System Switch, wherever you get your podcasts. System Switch Podcast.
It's fucking awesome. Do that. And if you haven't already done it, please like, comment, subscribe, check out our Patreon. You can go over there and get exclusive merch, and you can be a bigger part of the community. You can chime in, you can determine what episodes we do in the future. You can do all kinds of cool shit. We also have cool t-shirts coming out from the guy who did the Garbage Pail Kids. Chad Shears. Yeah, for real. He's doing our first t-shirt. He's doing a t-shirt for us, and we are very excited about it. It's coming out. So go ahead and join the Patreon and do all those cool things. We will see you next time on Fermented Fiction. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've been Clay and Travis. This has been Peter Castro, our wonderful guest. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.